friends. We're here with another book today that is called Where the Wild Things Are. And you may have heard this book before because it's a very popular one. Story and Pictures by Maurice Sendak. Oh, there's my name upside down. I love this book. This is one of my most favorite books. I think it's a pretty good bedtime story too. Where the Wild Things Are. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. Ooh, look at those trees in there. And grew. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through the night and day. Oh, look, there's his name, Max. And in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. Ooh, his face just changed. Look at his face here. What is it doing? Like this. Smiling. Oh, but now look. It's frowning now. You see the monster. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. And he made him king of all the wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." Roar! Whoa, look at all of them. Roar. Oh, there's Max. He's saying roar. What's happening in this page? This page doesn't have any words either. He looks like he's hanging from the trees with the wild things. Oh, here's another page without words. "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We will eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper was waiting for him. And it was still hot. The end. So this time for after our read aloud that we just had, I want you to retell what just happened on your fingers. Retell means they were telling the story, but in a really short way. We're summarizing. So let's see. Max was being too crazy. He was being way too hyper, and his mom called him a wild thing, and she sent him to bed without supper. So Max got in trouble. And then Max went to where the wild things are and tamed them, and they had a lot of fun and played a lot. But then Max got lonely, and he missed being where people loved him. He missed his mom and his family and his food. Then he started smelling something. Then finally, Max went home, and his supper was there waiting for him, still hot. So we just retold the story on 4 fingers. We even have an extra finger that we could have added another thing for. Today, when you go and read, I want you to think about how you can retell your stories across your finger. So each time you read a book, then I want you to go and retell the story across your fingers, because that's going to help you make sure that you really understood what your book was about. So I want you to make sure you remember every time you read, you're retelling the stories. Thanks for reading with us today.